All right, First Chronicles 13, let's call this one Mighty and subtitle it Angry, because this chapter is going to start out with a lot of joy as Israel is finally moving towards unity behind David, the newly anointed king of Israel. And part of that process of getting him kinged up is bringing the ark into its proper place. And so in an effort to do that, they are celebrating as the ark is brought closer to where it's supposed to be in Jerusalem. But during the course of bringing it in, their joy is going to turn to shock as Uzzah, a man who has taken on the responsibility of carting the ark, is going to put his hand out to steady it as the oxen pulling the cart stumble, and he is going to be struck down by God for all of his apparently good intentions. And as we said, the joy is going to turn to shock as Uzzah is struck down. But for David, the shock is going to turn to anger and then fear as he realizes the severity of what has just happened. And so many times I talk about the temptation to be frustrated with God when you seem like you're already overwhelmed and one more thing causes you to stumble in a situation you didn't ask to be in the first place. David was not responsible for the sins that got the ark displaced. And so in trying to bring it back in, it might seem like his good intentions were rewarded with punishment. And there are times when life can seem to punish us in response to our good intentions. But as you probably heard before, our success has a lot to do with the way that we respond to failure. And so even though David might have been well within his rights to be angry about the consequences of trying to fix a situation that he did not break, the response to his anger is what caught my attention here. See, because as we mentioned before, David is going to end up not only being a man who was noted for his valor in battle, but his competence as a king. And later on, from time to time, here we talk about the way in which when folks wanted to rebuke David, they would tell him a story that challenged his knowledge in a question of law, understanding that once his kingdom was established, he seemed to have a deep understanding of Israel's law, quite possibly motivated by the way in which David responded to their violation of the law for transporting the ark. Understanding that something else that David was noted for, and that was giving justice to all Israel, might also go back to his response to failing in this chapter, helping us understand that there is a difference between being interested in excellence and being driven to excellence. Understanding that the way in which David redirected his anger and regret to a direction that allowed him to take responsibility for what happened to Uzzah might have taken him from being a king who was interested in excellence to a king who became driven to achieving excellence.